Anyway, so next I'll move on to Dr. Gite here. So Bharat Jain is a massive and perhaps a unique initiative to have a national impact. So many of us hope that it becomes all pervasive and weaves itself into what we call the common man's, weaves itself into becoming the common man's technology, much like what we in Kannada say Bharata, that is the Mahabharata, and has been woven into the cultural fabric in India. So Bharat Jain has a healthy mix of homegrown researchers and and those that are trained overseas. So what are some of the low-hanging mangoes, if I can extend the analogy to our scenarios here? And since I see the totapuris in the market, I guess it's the right time to ask that question. So what are some of the low-hanging mangoes that you expect to pluck in the immediate future?
Yeah, thank you, Professor Manjunath, for first calling out that Bharat Jain is a unique and a initiative. So I'll start with like thanking DST for allowing us to start this. We are just 13 months old, and in that small amount of time, we have been able to release models, have people lay their hands on models, and where I see what we see as low-hanging fruits or early deployments is at least we will be able to liberate language to a large extent, because we are working extensively on 22 Indic languages, including the language nuances. The second thing that I see foreseeing or happening very closely is we becoming voice first. And voice first has a different paradigm, like it will take us to a different paradigm, because we've been like talking and listening a lot about context graph these days. What is context? Context is everything that is not processed in the system. It is the decisions that you make which are in your mind, or you talk to your colleague, or you think on yourself when you see a response. And based on that, there is a follow-up that happens. And all of these things are not captured. And if you were to design systems which will have the need for every user to input everything, it is going to take millions of years and resources and compute. But if you make it voice first, I think people will start talking their minds out, and systems will be able to get context much better than what we are trying to leverage. I think third thing that I see happening is we will be able to see some real deployments, and those real deployments are not going to be like AGI level readiness, claiming that we've solved it all. It is going to be persuasive, very small moments of truth, where we'll start seeing some early deployments, yield some results, win some confidence of the users, and then they're wanting to do something more with it. I think that is the low-hanging fruit for us, and we will also be at the same time creating this public foundation of sovereign AI, smaller elements and smaller pieces in the entire bouquet that is required. Apart from models, we are also working on benchmarks. So what are the benchmarks that do justice to Indian settings? These are the things that are going to be like some of the low-hanging fruits we are looking at, and I think they are going to be of value to the entire ecosystem that we are trying to build.
So any sample applications that you are looking at, any sample deployments that you can sort of call out today?
Yeah, we already have some POC level readiness for deployments, which we very proudly demonstrate in our conversations with partners and other ecosystem players. But we are actively working with Maharashtra government. We'll be coming up with a conversational bot for 2 of their departments. We are also working with healthcare players, where we are working on solving some of the complex healthcare problems, patient-physician conversations, understanding patient reports, and a lot of other things that patients usually walk to the hospitals with, to create a summary, make them understand it themselves, and also present it to the doctors. So these are like some of the use cases that we are currently working on. We are also focusing on education. We're solving for some of the fundamental formative learning challenges, assessment challenges, which will actually be allowing us to deploy assessments at scale. We are working on that, and there are a lot of other opportunities that we are pursuing, but these low-hanging fruits are going to give us the confidence in early learnings, and encourage others to also come forward and start deployments.
So, talking of context and things, so there is a translating languages into the typical medical training is in English, and the symptoms of various ailments are described in English. So translating a local language word into English has always been what I believe is one of the biggest bottlenecks. For example, those of you who know Kannada, there is a word called sancta. There is no way in hell you can translate that into English, and that word doctors are afraid of when a patient comes in and says, there is something that's they're not able to translate that into a language that they have seen in their medical textbooks. Anyway, thanks for that. So, Mr. Rastogi, so what are some of the data incentive projects that the government of Maharashtra has initiated and plans to initiate in, say, the next 2 years?
So, as Dr. Alpan Rawal was mentioning about data is the key for any AI system that we design. Now, agriculture sector, which currently I'm looking after, generates a huge amount of data. Consider the scenario, we have more than let's say 15 million farmers having different kind of cropping practices, different farms, different crops, and different kind of scenarios in terms of the seeds they are using and the productivity they have. Now, huge amount of data is potentially available. But what also happens is, since there is no immediate use of that data, or maybe no intelligent analysis is being done, the data collection systems also have their own limitation. Now, if we start using this data for AI system, then also you realize if there are any inconsistency in if the data collection strategy itself is to be used. Now, that said, we have multiple initiatives regarding utilizing this data for designing advisories, information systems, etc. AgriStack, you might have heard, which is a Government of India initiative, wherein every farmer gets a unique ID, the plot that he or she is cultivating gets a unique geo-referenced identity, and also the crops, every seasonal crop that they are taking is also recorded. So that is one. Now, other than that, we have, of course, weather stations. So more than 2,500 circles have a AWS, automatic weather station, which continuously monitors the temperature, the humidity, the rain, the wind speed, wind directions, etc., which also is a let's say prerequisite for generating forecasting, the weather forecasting by IMD and other institutions. So that's the part of the weather data. Every soil has its own parameters in terms of soil texture and soil type and the nutrient. So huge amount of data is available, is being generated. Apart from AgriStack, we have all these data sets. And what we have done is we are designing agriculture data exchange, ADEX, as we call. One purpose, of course, is to bring them on the same platform. But what we have realized that the data sets are in silos. Different institutions, organizations have it, and they don't want to share it, or probably they don't realize that if we share, then the value of data increases, the kind of analysis that you can do can be of much higher order. So designing an ADEX is basically bringing all these data sets along with the universities' data. Our agriculture universities and ICR institutions, they also come up with a lot of research data, varieties of seeds, their output, etc. So we want to make it available within the government institutions and also share it with the private entities for common good, for designing better algorithm, better systems. So ADEX is being developed. Apart from that, we also are developing a sandbox wherein the startups and companies, they can play around with this data and then test their algorithms. So on the data part, there is a lot of initiatives going on, and if we say about utilization of the data, then Mahavistar, which is a AI-based chatbot, is basically utilizing that data for generating advices for the farmers.
So how much of these data is available for public use without subscription, or all of these typically some kind of a subscription based?
So as I said, ADEX is being currently under development. So as of now, there is no platform where the data is actually available, but depending on the requirements, we make it available to various entities. So that will be much more, let's say, kind of systematic way of exchanging data. Not only public data, but also private data, because a lot of private sector so generates data about logistics, storages, exports, etc. We also want to bring it the same platform, and using DPDP framework and also the protocol for sharing data, we would like to make it.
So much of the data that you have is not personal. So does DPDP apply?
We do have personal data, a lot of personal data, because all these direct benefit transfer schemes, do collect a lot of personal data, which of course has its own protocols of Aadhaar vault and etc. that is being taken care of.
Thank you. So Dr. Kapoor, so Government of India is bringing out many new initiatives in AI. So could you elaborate on some of them with details of the impact they are creating on the economy as a whole?
Very good afternoon, and first of all, thank you for having me here as a panelist for this important topic, AI for all. I think AI is now in the air, and it is actually for everyone. As pointed out by leaders across the globe, and also with the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 by our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, I think this is the right moment that we are having this AI Impact Summit in India, and we are there to show to the world that actually India has set up the tracks for the rails to move, and we are going to lead this AI revolution in the future. So just to elaborate on some of the important flagship programs that the Government of India has launched in the last few years, I would like to start with the Department of Science and Technology, which is my parent organization. So we have an ongoing mission on cyber physical systems. Our Secretary, Professor Abhay Karandekar, rightly mentioned in the morning session. So this mission was initiated in the mindset of academic institutions to move from paper publications and patents alone to doing translational research, developing products, and commercializing them. And this is the beauty of the TIH, that it actually functions as a catalyst to carry out translational research. The TIHs, which have been set up under this mission, carry out activities under 4 different domains to cover technology development, entrepreneurship or startup ecosystem setup. They also work on skill development, enhancing the CPS researchers base across India, and they are also working on international collaborations in their respective technology verticals. All the technology verticals, the 25 of them, are belonging to areas of critical and emerging technologies to include AI and ML, to include cyber security, data analytics, IoT and IoE, etc., etc. So this is, in a nutshell, what NMICPS is doing. And I will come to Bharat Jain after. I think we already have Dr. Gite here, who's representing Bharat Jain. But this is also one of the flagship initiatives of NMICPS, and it is now being supported with a whole of government approach, with the extended support of MITI, which has come up to the tune of more than 1,000 crores for Bharat Jain in the India AI mission. As I speak about the India AI mission, I think again we all are, witness of the great initiative which has been launched by the Government of India. It is being implemented by the Ministry of Electronics and IT, and the mission aims to provide a huge compute power to the country, to the researchers, academicians, to MSMEs, industries, startups, and this actually will empower each one of us to use this AI power to translate and develop technologies which will be beneficial, which will be available for the service to the society. Then, of course, in the ANRF, the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, there has been a mission which has been launched very recently. It is the Maha Mission on AI, science and engineering. The calls for proposal are open for that, and it's again, I would say, a whole of government approach with our other departments of the government of India also supporting it, namely the DBT, the Ministry of Earth Sciences. We also have MIT, and we have ICMR, the Department of Health Research, contributing to this call. Again, with the Ministry of Education, I would like to mention we have the plan of setting up 4 centers of excellence in AI, and these centers of excellence again, will be focusing on 4 major areas to include agriculture, education, healthcare, and sustainable cities. The centers have already been set up at 4 different locations in IITs in the country, and I think this will again give a great boost to research in AI in the country. Lastly, I would like to again mention that as a part of the research, development and innovation, the RDI scheme of the Department of Science and Technology, which is being implemented by DST, a rupees 1 lakh crore RDI fund has to be disbursed in some key sectors which are called the sunrise sector. Which the government will be focusing on. So I think with this huge plethora of activities and the programs that have been set up, the stage has been set up for each one of us to perform and to leverage the talent that is available in the youth of the country for the betterment of the society. Thank you.
Expecting some kind of a leapfrogging, so I'll come back to that in the next round. So, Alpan, so just a quick question on the kind of activities or the nature of the nature of the way in which you function, nature of way in which things happen at Vadhvani. So, how many pilot phase projects graduate to a fuller project, and could you just give us a sense of why, whatever that number is? I mean, if it's large enough, I mean, why are you happy? I mean, why does that come about? If it's too small, why does that come about? And a quick response to what do you think is your vision of AI, inclusive AI? Yeah, so maybe we should probably about 2 minutes per person would be a good idea. Yeah.
So this is a hard question actually, because it depends on how long you're willing to wait. The number of projects that can go from pilot to scale can vary from close to 0 to close to 100%, depending on
what you're
on how much iteration you're willing to do.
Right.
Often it's not just a function of how good the AI is, but also the the whole stakeholder, the whole ecosystem,
Correct. I mean,
whether it's ready to adopt.
Right.
So I think if you've thought the problem through well in the beginning, which is that you recognize that this is a problem to be solved by AI, number one. Number two, you posed it correctly, technically. Number three, you made sure that the ecosystem is ready to adopt if you actually do solve the problem. So if you have all your ducks lined up, then I think chance of success, meaning going from pilot to scale, is actually very high. Currently among our projects, we're roughly at 60% or so, but that number is very dynamic, so it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
If you had asked me a year ago, it would be much less. A year later, it may be more.
Just a question to get a sense of what happens and how difficult the issues are, not to put a value judgment of anything that happens there. Yeah.
Sure. And about inclusive AI, I think a lot has been said already. Of course, we need to somehow make sure that a lot of these AI tools that matter actually reach low-income groups, reach people who are not internet savvy and don't have internet access. So I think that's a major part of inclusivity.
Thank you. Yeah. So, Dr. Gite, so from my understanding, early Indian language computing research in India was focused on Panini and Samskrita. So that was supposed to be the foundation of their research. So what role do you think these would play in Bharat Jain? And do you expect the Indian language usage pattern and language idiom to change as Bharat Jain happens?
I'm glad you asked this question. So Sanskrit, as all of us know, it is like a rule book. It is so algorithmic that so many things it can scale to any levels, and we've seen that happening. Like many coders follow Sanskrit like they are following a code. But when it comes to language adjacencies, I think we are working at that fundamental level where our teams have sat and struggled with coming up with new tokenizers, where we are trying to leverage language adjacencies. Like all the Aryan languages put together and the Dravidian languages put together, you will see that the lipi in which they are written, right, whether it is Devanagari or other lipis, they draw so many things from each other. And how can we leverage on this? And we firmly believe that although our early iterations have not given very significant results, which are like skyrocketing high, but a lot has gone into the making of tokens across the world. And if we pursue this, we are sure that we'll be able to see a very different outcome. We'll be able to optimize the token utilization. Currently, if we are using any of the Western models, there is a lot of derived tokenization that happens, right? For a language to go into a translation mode, and then you end up paying higher tokens for it. And coming back to the language idiom, I think as we progress, and like I said in the last comment, as we become voice first, I think Sanskrit was more to adhere to purity. I think what will happen when we are voice first is we will be able to adapt ourselves to clarity, right? We don't want people to start talking purely just because we want it to be done in a particular way. We want AI to support how they are talking and living and become a part of their everyday life. So I think that shift we will be able to see gradually, from purity to clarity, from rule books to actually adapted usages. And those are going to be like, again, adding a lot to our context and understanding. And they will definitely be fed back as we have more model iterations as well as context built around it. So I think Sanskrit definitely is going to help with the scaffolding, but it may, over a period of time, just become the overall guiding principle, and these other language usages will take over as we have more data unlocked and available for model building.
So there is a strong Sanskrit component in many of these other languages. So you're saying that that is going to sort of become a little more homogeneous across in some sense? Or?
Yeah, so like I said, it will continue to remain the guiding principle. That is not going to change. But the way, like 780 plus dialects, how do you want to contain all of those dialects to use standard usage? And we are, as a country, are full of noise. We code switch. If there are 3 people in a room, most likely there will be 2 different languages they will know, and at some point in time they'll start talking in 2 languages. And we are a country full of noise. We are not like the Western isolated environments where these AI applications are going to be used in perfect isolation. We will be wanting these applications used in marketplaces, buses, trains, wherever we go, whatever we do. Even in our households, there is a television running in the background. So how do our models do justice to those noisy situations and are still able to be deployed? That is, I think, going to be the key. And that is what I mean by there is a difference between making pure deployment versus making a clear deployment. Making a clear deployment is what actually serves the use case needs and the surroundings. And pure is where it is like adhering to what data has gone into the making of it. And we are traversing that journey. I think as time and more data accumulates, we'll be able to unfold that.
Yeah, I mean, you just said we are a nation full of noise. I wasn't sure you meant a noisy nation or a nation full of noise, but we'll take that offline. Mr. Rastogi, so this is a discussion about global cooperation. So I'm sure you have a wish list of things that are being done in other countries. So any of those that you would like to see happen in Maharashtra?
So while what's coming out is a lot of localization required here in AI in terms of the languages, the context, the cultural issues here. But that said, there's a lot that we need to learn and work with the global institutions. The first thing that comes to my mind is the seed development. Better quality seeds that are climate resilient, seeds that have lower maturity period, and more consistent in terms of their productivity and all. And there are various techniques which are being implemented. Our agriculture universities and ICR institutions are working with seed development, but the pace is very slow. For a new variety to come up, it takes 8 to 10 years, sometimes even more. And it is possible to use AI to speed up that process analyze the performance of various seeds, and then give the best seed to which is, let's say, applicable for a particular agroclimatic zone. So that is something which, whether it's a genetic editing or speed breeding, etc., there is a huge opportunity for us to learn. And keeping that in mind, I mean, this is one example. There are multiple other examples where we need to work with other institutions across the globe. And keeping that in mind, on 22nd, 23rd February in Mumbai, we have Global Agri-AI Summit, which is a satellite event of India AI Impact Summit in Delhi. And we are inviting the global institutions, academic institutions, think tanks, industry, startup, to offer them the same platform where they can learn from each other, share their experiences, and have a clear vision ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you. So last question to you, Dr. Kapoor. So with so many AI initiatives from DST, so there is a word that has been very popular for the last 30, 35 years, at least of my understanding of many things that the government expects. So they keep saying that we want to leapfrog. So the many AI initiatives from DST that you have, so what kind of leapfrogging expectations would you have from the people who are funded? So, I mean, yeah, maybe a couple of minutes if you don't mind, so that we can close on time.
This is one of the questions which I have always asked my leadership, that as a mission director of this national mission and also implementing the mission across all premier academic institutions, what is the expectation we must have? And this is actually now running in our blood, that we need to leapfrog what we need to do. Number one, I would just give 3 points here. Number one is, let's change our mindset. Let's leverage our talent, the strengths that we have, not just for publishing, not just for patenting, but bringing out a technology which will be available in the society, available for our own people for use, and that is, utmost need of the hour. The second thing is, let's not work in silos. Let's work in collaboration. Bharat Jain per se is an example, a living example of a consortia which has 7 members, and the consortia is expanding each day. We have discussions with the Bharat Jain team, and we come to know, oh, we want to add this particular institutions because they have this strength. We say, okay, we are okay with it, provided it is within the gambit of the project and within the financial purview. The third thing, and again the most important, is we must focus on the scale and the diversity that our country has. We must consider this diversity as our own strength. Again, I would like to give an example of Bharat Jain, that the generative AI models which are being built in Bharat Jain are actually tailored to meet India's linguistic, cultural and socio-economic diversity. We should scale up our projects, and our technologies developed should be for our own people, but they should be scaled up to cover the entire diversity of the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think I'll end by being Narada for a few minutes. So I'll try to pit the two people who implement projects to people who fund them. So first question to you, Alpan. If you had one thing to ask the government of Maharashtra, so you're doing local impact, so that your impact could be 3 dB or even 10 dB higher, what would you ask Sri Rastogi? And not money.
No.
Not money.
So I can speak in general what would be good to have, which I have 2 things actually, both around data. One is that we are the largest and the most diverse country on the planet. So
we have a lot of noise.
Sorry. Yeah. But so we have the largest and the most diverse data sets on the planet. Can there be a rational policy for making these data sets available to the general public? A policy that's uniform and applies across the country. Second is the government owns these massive platforms, especially in health, like eSanjeevani, Nikshay, and so on. Can we make sure that the data that's collected through those platforms is of high quality at source? And it's not very difficult. It's just simple quality checks that have to be done at source, so that then the data that comes in can be used in a meaningful manner. I think so far what was happening is a lot of this data was used in aggregate form to create dashboards and to create reports, and for that the quality levels were okay. But I think as the data starts getting used into AI models, it's very important that there are better quality checks.
Would you want to respond to that? I was expecting some friction. So
No, not at all. We are completely in sync. So regarding the first point, as I said, our edX is under development and the data sharing policy is also under development. Within a month or so, we should be able to launch it. And the idea is to make it open, except of course the personal data kind of thing, because without that, the new development and initiative will not work. Regarding the second point of data quality, I think it's extremely important. But what has happened is, if the data is only collected without any end use insight, and where people are not really understanding the importance of what they're doing by collecting data, then the quality suffers. Now, when we use AI models, we have seen that we are getting sometimes irrational results, and we try to find out why is it happening. The data sources, we are able to identify that there is a problem in the data set. So now there is a new SOP which is going down, that when you collect the data, these are the best practices. Of course, now everything has to be done through some portal or an app. So these things are coming up because now we have started looking data in a more outcome-oriented manner rather than a simply a collection of data exercise.
Thank you. So should I finish that with the other potential friction point here? Dr. Gite, same question to you. If you had one thing to ask of Dr. Kapoor and DST, that your impact could be 3 dB or 10 dB higher, what would you ask?
I think
they've got more than you wanted.
Like Ektaji mentioned, the seed was sown by NCPIMS and it has been nurtured well by DST, and now MIT is also blessing us. So what else we can ask for? But if there is one thing that I would ask or Bharat Jain would like to yearn is to make real messy frontline deployments celebrated as research signals of adoption. And there is going to be like the labor pains we have to go through, right? We have to make this happen, and if the government departments participate, partner, if the public systems partner with us in these deployments, we will be able to have a lot of learnings to be taken back to the model's next iteration. And if we are able to make this like observed, celebrated, even if there are failures, and I'm not saying that there will be failures only, there will be a lot of learnings, right? Because the infra ecosystem, where is the model to be deployed, how is it to be, what is going to be the UI UX, what is the user's expectations, user journey, and all of these are going to be only learned through making deployments. So we would want every district, every state, every taluka or block to have some AI deployment plan, and they should participate. And we will be more than happy to have all the models support these public infrastructure requirements and handhold them through these deployment cycles, because there's going to be a learning for both the departments as well as us. I think that would be the one ask.
Dr. Kapoor, you want to say yes, no, don't know to that?
A big yes.
Yeah, okay.
And we are already there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think I wanted to have a roundup of final remarks from everybody, but I think we're sort of running out of time. There's a red flag going up. So with that, I'll thank all the panelists here for their sparing their time and giving their mind to whatever, to helping us know what's in their mind. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Manjunath and the panelists for an engaging and insightful discussion. Now, I would request Professor Manjunath to please hand over the mementos. Request Professor to present the memento. Thank you once again to all.